What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Paddock, and today I'm going to give you 3 easy tips to improve your Altissimo embouchure. The hardest part about mastering your Altissimo notes is definitely getting the correct embouchure. We have to do a couple tweaks to your regular embouchure to get those high notes to come out. So today I'm going to give you 3 really easy tips that will either help you get your first note or drastically improve the notes that you've already got. So I already did a full-length video on Altissimo that tells you all the fingerings and all kinds of other stuff, how to practice it. But so if you are looking for fingerings and that kind of stuff, check out that video. I'll put it in the description below. But today we're just going to focus in right on the embouchure, and I'm going to give you 3 simple techniques that hopefully will help you get those notes out. Okay, so let's get started. The very first thing you want to do when you're going for your Altissimo notes is make sure that the corners of your lips are squeezed in tighter than your regular embouchure. When you're playing your regular notes, your corners are in, but you don't have to have as firm of a grip on the mouthpiece. When you're going for those Altissimo notes, everything needs to tighten up, starting with the corners of your mouth. So when you're playing your Altissimo notes, make sure those corners are in really tight. This is what it'll sound like with looser corners. They're still coming out, but they're not nearly as powerful and they're a little bit flat. When you get those corners in nice and tight, you have way more control over your pitch, and the sound and the tone is way more powerful. With tight corners, now this is with looser corners. Tight corners. Now, I don't know if this is going to translate in the video, but there is a gigantic difference between when you bring those corners in nice and tight and then when you keep them just regular or loose. Not necessarily loose, but like your regular embouchure corners, if that makes any sense. So bring in those corners, make them nice and tight. So that is the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do, and this is what gets the notes out, is get your tongue in a really high E position. Say the word E, E, and think about how high your tongue is in your throat when you say that. That's what you need to get those Altissimo notes. If your tongue is not really high in your throat, you are not going to get Altissimo notes. So here is an Altissimo note with the E position. Now, I'm going to do the exact same thing, except I'm going to lower my tongue so it won't be in the E position. And I'm either going to get some kind of like FERP note, which sounds like a FERP, or I'm going to get some overtone. And I'm going to gradually raise my tongue, and you'll hear that note eventually come out once I get my tongue high enough. So could you hear, as I was raising my tongue, it got closer and closer to the pitch. It started off with a low FERP, and then I kind of got an overtone, another overtone, and then eventually when I got my tongue high enough, I got the actual note out. Now, I can do the same thing in the opposite direction. So I'm going to start with my tongue high in the E position and then bring it down. So if you are getting anything that sounds like this, when you're trying to get your Altissimo, it is because your tongue is not high enough. And those notes will never come out until you get your tongue high enough. So think about your tongue being really high and pushed forward a little bit. So you can only get your tongue so high in your mouth. So once you get it to a certain point, then you have to push it forward a little bit. So you can have it high and pushed forward. So if you keep your corners really tight and you get your tongue really high in the E position and pushed forward a little bit. So if this is your mouthpiece and this is the bottom of your tongue, you want your tongue to go up like this and then move forward a little bit. Because if you're just bringing it up, you can only get up so far. Then you have to bring it forward to get the airflow going correctly. So up and forward a little bit. Now, the next trick is something that I never hear people talk about, but it works great. When I'm going up into Altissimo, and I know I'm going up into Altissimo, I will always take a breath as I'm on the way, and I'll take in a little bit more mouthpiece with only my bottom jaw. So it lets a little bit more of the reed vibrate, and when more of that reed vibrates, especially up in the Altissimo, it gives you a way more powerful sound, and you have way more control over the note. So I'm going to turn to the side here so you can see my embouchure. Now, as I go up, you're going to see that my jaw goes straight, slightly out. So instead of here where it would normally be, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to slide it down a little bit so I get a little bit more reed vibrating. The top is going to stay exactly where it is. I'm just going to take in a little bit more mouthpiece, or reed, I guess, with my lower jaw. Watch. Now, I can get those notes out with no problem without moving my jaw forward. But when I do move my jaw forward, the notes are way more powerful. And it gives me way more control over being able to bend the notes, put rasp on the notes, go from note to note. It just gives me way more power. So if you combine those three little tricks to the correct fingerings, you are going to get way better sounding altissimo. And if you don't have altissimo yet, if you do those three things with the correct fingering, you're going to start to get your altissimo. So the first thing is bring your corners in nice and tight. Second, bring your tongue up really high in the E position. And once you get up really high, push it forward just a little bit. And then the third is take in just a little bit more mouthpiece with your lower jaw. Those three things are going to make your altissimo really sing and become really effortless. And the whole idea behind it is to make your altissimo just a regular part of your saxophone. So you're not playing special high notes. You're just playing and then you're capping it off with high notes up in the altissimo. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. If these altissimo tips and tricks have helped you make your notes stronger or helped you get your first altissimo note, hit me with a comment below. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Thanks a lot.